So this is it then, the Aston Martin Valkyrie's V12 engine, developed by Cosworth, of course, in a little over 2 years. And first things first, this was a clean sheet design. So a little over 2 years ago, they were staring at a white screen and have developed this thing from absolute scratch. Those initial specs set by Adrian Newey, of course, were this: 6 litres, 950 horsepower, and to make it as light as humanly possible. This is the finished article, and the specs have improved. So it is now 6.5 litres naturally aspirated V12. It will rev to 11,000 RPM and produces a nice round 1,000 brake horsepower. The other thing about this, perhaps the most significant thing about this engine, is how light it is, just 202 kilograms. To give you a bit of context, the 177 engine itself, a lightweight V12, weighed 280 kilograms. And as an example of how pedantic they've been with the lightweighting here, well, the first time he saw this engine, Adrian Newey came in here and started tapping away at the lacquer on this engine cover. He asked Cosworth how much it weighs. The answer was 130 grams, and he pulled his disappointed face, which is why you can now order your Valkyrie with or without the lacquer, depending on how hardcore you want to be. There will be a hybrid boost element, I'm told. So there is going to be an electric motor incorporated into the gearbox. They're not talking about how much power that's going to produce yet, but around about 100 horsepower is a fair guess. So a total of about 1,100 horsepower. But rather than that, adding extra performance, extra acceleration, that electric motor is more about taming this engine at low speeds. Okay, it's one of the most high performance engines ever produced, the most powerful naturally aspirated V12 ever produced. But you've still got to be able to drive this thing around town. You've still got to be able to go for a coffee in it, and you don't want to be kangarooing down the King's Road. So that electric motor just torque feels, lets you pull away smoothly at low revs. They say this thing has a life of 100,000 kilometers. I'm not sure how many people are going to drive their Valkyrie for 100,000 kilometers, but there you go. It has to overperform in all areas. This thing is an engineering marvel. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to hear it operating. They've actually got one on the dyno through there. They're endurance testing the engine as we speak. So if we make our way through, we can hear it doing a lap of Silverstone. Right, now this might look like a bit of an old broom cupboard around the back of Cosworth, but actually behind this wall is the engine, the Valkyrie's V12 on the dyno, and if I waggle this handle, apparently they're going to run it on a simulation of the first section of Silverstone track, so we can actually hear it in all its glory. So here goes. Any moment now.